Blog Talk Radio.
The sun will disappear in 30 minutes, night acquaint encroaching skies. I came to this place to honor chill moments with her, somewhere out there also stargazing her own memories of our parting. I see her coming even now, riding moonbeams in her hippie grace. Somewhere she watches evening for inspiration, seeing me in dream and vision, forging words on her behalf. Before incarnating, we promised at all costs to find each other. Fate, we said, would guide us from our parting heaven's throne. Holding on to memories as conscience faded, birth, strange armor of soul, callous the veil of forgetting. For 30 years I wandered a gypsy scribe, loose upon garden paradise, shaking off the spell of new cycle. Entrenched in confused scenario, Babylon tyranny, a doctrine of law and regulation, souls more lost than me. It was 10 years ago that I woke to full remembrance, seeking her ever since. Long have I carried the secret of ancient metaphor, longing for the leisure of her gentle spaces. I am watching even now, unfolding paths awaiting the reward of her eyes. Completion for no other but me. It has been what seems like lifetimes since I've tasted her in form. Soulmate, the link to accomplish me further than the lone seeker is allowed to go alone. I see her parting trail, lighting incense in her prayerful way. New cycles beginning, moments ripe for her return. Soon all things will be revealed to knowing. She will remember too in time, if not already. Greater destiny mixing lives in the design of fortune. Another sunset claimed by distant trees, tears sheathed in longing. Somewhere she sings songs to empty ghosts. Summer clouds crater her chalice form, and I wait out the storm and miss her like breath, the dying man, offering empty words to sway of ocean horizons, hungry for her return. Yahushuah bless all of you. I give thanks that you have joined me for another Sabbath broadcast. Today we're going to be covering the two witnesses of Revelation 11 and expanding upon the premise of the end of days and talking about some of the timeline and the scenario for what's happening and what's going to happen. We'll touch upon some of the extra biblical books and some of the other texts that not a lot of people have heard or read, which describe and give more detail on who those two witnesses might be. And and just so you know, that was a poem that I had written in, I believe it was in my second book, When the Evening Dies, and it's called The Days Between. It's going to be part of I decided to include 15 poems from my second and my third book, which align closely with the chapters that I've been writing for this next upcoming book, Skyfall, Angels of Destiny, Predestination, and the Pre-existence of Spirit. Because in this book I detail a lot of things that I had been writing about for years and things that I have experienced in my early travels and in my journeys when I lived in a Ford Wigstar van for basically 4 years, traveling across the country and living in different national parks and different places of just extreme beauty and quiet and solitude. And I spent those years of travel seeking to experience the divine and writing poetry about my experiences and the things that I was blessed to do and that I did, because I no longer have that capacity. And the world is so strange now and so seemingly evil that People can't do those kind of things anymore. There was a time where you could freely travel across the United States and you would meet many others, and that were also seeking similar experience and on personal quest and on a personal journey to, experience the world or just to travel. I myself was longing for a reconnection to the Great Spirit, to the Most High, to the Father, the Creator of us all, and so that's what I did. I decided to break my routine, the whole normal thing as far as the 9 to 5, and to go seeking more and to seek experience which was contrary to the norm, because it was my belief that in so doing that I would certainly find answers greater and more profound as far as explaining the yearning of my soul and seeking out the answers to our higher reasons for being here on this planet and discovery of what life is about, why we're here, what all this is about, who we are, all those things which I have been writing about, and especially in my last 2 books. My 6th book, Sons of God, Who We Are and Why We're Here, which I do cover a lot of what I basically discovered in those years of doing what I did. And this next book, Skyfall, will be a culmination of those travels and those experiences. And so I decided to parallel some of the poems and some of the things that I wrote in those early years while I was on those journeys and share with you in a different way, because a lot of you are not familiar with the poems that I've written and the things that I have wrote, in my early writing career. And so I'm going to emphasize these chapters in this book with certain poems, and so I will share 15 of what are hundreds that I have written in my first 3 books. So anyways, I appreciate all of you joining me, and I thank you for your fellowship, and I appreciate all of you sending me your concerns and your testimonies, asking me your questions. And I also appreciate that you giving me the time to give answer and to give reply. And I most certainly appreciate the feedback that all of you have been sharing with me on my books. And also thank those of you that have taken the time to review them, whether it's in blog form or on your different websites, or even, just writing commentary on Amazon, because I think it helps those that have been scared of, the emphasis on a lot of what has been veiled and what has been left out, and in my opinion, purposely stripped away from the masses. A lot of extra biblical writings and texts and books, mythologies of which I quote from and do include in the scope and context of my work. Anyways, I'm Zen Garcia. I'm your host. This is FallenAngels.tv, and we normally do our broadcasts on 5 p.m. on Saturdays. And just to give you a quick update, I am down to probably the last 2 or 3 days of work, so long as I don't decide to do any more research or to add anything else to what I already have. And the book is, I feel I haven't broken it up into pages. It's all just one full text. But I'm pretty certain it will be close to, if not more than 300 pages. And so it will be as sizable as the earlier books that I released, as far as Lucifer, Father of Cain, and Sons of God, Who We Are and Why We're Here. It should be equivalent as far as the information. And I'm going to just read real quickly the chapter titles, just to give you an idea of what it is that this book is about. And then we're going to go into this show as far as the two witnesses. Of course, there's the foreword and the introduction. And then chapter 1 has to do with the preexistence of Christ. Chapter 2 is the covenant of grace and renewance. Chapter 3, the cup of forgetfulness, which the poem that I just wrote, or that I just read on the very beginning of the show, will highlight this chapter called the Days Between. And all of the poems are going to be at the very ends of the chapter, just to kind of emphasize what it is that the chapter was speaking about, as far as in poetry or in prose form. Chapter 4, preexistence of the saints. Chapter 5, the 12 apostles. Chapter 6, reincarnation versus incarnation. Chapter 7, preexistence of humanity. Chapter 8, the eternal security of inheritance. Chapter 9, circumstance and situation. Chapter 10, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Chapter 11, pre-election and the choice of allegiance. Chapter 12, a box of chocolates, which is it's an interesting reference to some of the research that has been brought forth, which has confirmed the two different bloodlines. Chapter 13, the war in heaven. Chapter 14 is my personal awakening and remembrance of self. It's a story of, how I came to this knowledge, which I haven't really shared a lot of personal information in my books, and so this will give you a full idea of, my early life and how it is that I came to this discernment and the things that I did back then, which led me to this knowledge. So, chapter 15, you are an angel of destiny. And so, I will be sending this book into Tate probably Monday, and then, like I said, it takes them anywhere from 8 to 12 months to bring it to printed form. I hope that they can make the whole process a little bit quicker, because it has been edited, and I want to thank Professor Truth for that, for being the first one to read and to help me pick up on a lot of the spelling corrections or different things which I didn't see, because I've been staring at this book for so long, and having become so familiar with it, you really need somebody with an outside opinion to give me, to give you reference and to look at it differently. And so, anyways, I appreciate all of you. We're going to go into the new text on the witnesses, the two witnesses of Revelation 11. And with what I'm going to be reading, we're going to describe who those individuals are, and then we're going to talk historically about who they were, because it's my opinion that they were some of the Old Testament patriarchs that had once been here on this planet. But it is also my opinion that the two witnesses have not yet succumbed to death, have not seen or tasted death, and that is one of the reasons why they will be brought again. And when I say brought again, I don't mean being born again into flesh form and being delivered as children, and then, but that they will come, that the two witnesses will come in full form and already be in the forms that they left in, so to speak. And so with, what I've already spoken about, basically I'm talking about Enoch and Elijah here. And the reason why I believe that the two witnesses of Revelation 11 will be Enoch and Elijah is not only is it referenced in many of the extra-biblical texts, but from Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27. And let me go ahead and pull up this text. It says in Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27, "And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this, the judgment." Remember that both Enoch and Elijah were translated and ascended up into heaven, were taken to be a witness against, well, first Enoch was taken the seventh from Adam, because we know that Enoch was also, there was an Enoch of the line of Cain, and that Cain's firstborn son was named Enoch. But the Enoch that I am speaking of is the seventh from Adam. His father was Yared, who it was during his father's time that the sons of God left their place of habitation. Now I'm talking about the watchers, not the rebel angels, because the rebel angels left a long time before humanity, modern humanity, was created by the Father. They were kicked out of the heavens on the second day, according to the second book of Enoch, the book of the secrets of Enoch, which you can read that for yourself. And for those that, have read my previous books, I have detailed that quote and shared it in, I believe, book 4, Lucifer, father of Cain. And I've spoken about it in book 6, but I include the quotation in book 4, Lucifer, father of Cain, where it is cited specifically as the rebel angels and Lucifer, that they were kicked out of the heavens on the second day. And really that's like one of the only places that you will find in all of the texts anywhere that speak about when it was that they were cast out of the heavens. And in Luke chapter 21, Christ says that I saw Satan like lightning fall from the heavens. And it's my opinion that that is what he is speaking about. Because in the second book of Enoch, when Enoch is taken up into the seventh heaven and brought before the face of the Lord, it was Yahushuah as the Lord and the King of Kings and the embodiment of the Father that he was brought before. And so Yahushuah is citing as the Word and as the embodiment of the Father. He's telling Enoch, because he breaks down the 7 days of creation and what occurred on each day. And we know that he, as the Word, was the one that when the Father said, "Let there be light," this was before the separation of light and darkness, that in that moment, that's when the Son was revealed to the sons of God, who we were part of that collective, part of the divine council, part of the Elohim, spoken of, I believe it's in Psalms 82, when it talks about the council of the Most High, and the council, the divine council, and those of the sons of God that were part of the Elohim. We were part of that. That was our first estate and our spiritual embodiment. That's when we were pre-existing with the Father and the Son. And that's why it was that Yahushuah cites in Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5, that he says that I knew you before you were ever formed within the womb, and that I had ordained you to be a prophet unto the nations. Yahushuah is speaking about knowing us during that time when we were part of the divine council as the sons of God, as what are also referred to as the princes. And we know that Satan is the prince of the air, but the sons of God are also referred to as the princes. Anyways, and so it's my opinion that Enoch, when he was translated during this time, that he was translated to be a testament against the abomination and the introduction of evil, of which the fallen angels had, corrupted not only the seed of the woman, and they had also interbred and intermarried into the seed of the serpent, the line of Cain, and they created the giants who became cannibals, and they were the ones that instituted the worship of the fallen angels in idolatry. And they also instituted the worship of the feathered serpent across the world, and they were the ones that instituted and indoctrinated the people into accepting forms of worship where they ritually abused and victimized people in sacrifice. And in a lot of that included cannibalism or the drinking of blood, because we know that the giants were the first meat eaters and also the first to drink the blood of humanity, and that it was after the flood of Noah's day, when the Father decimated their bloodline and wiped out the giants specifically, that he made a new covenant with Noah, that they could now, him and his family could now eat meat so long as it did not have the blood within it. And that's why it was that he had a specific covenant tied to the eating of flesh and the drinking of blood, because it was an abomination what the giants had instituted and became involved in prior to the flood of Noah's day. And so Enoch was taken to be a witness against and to document for humanity the things that the fallen angels had done, and specifically the 200 watchers that left their place of habitation, that according to chapter 100 of the Keber Nagast, that they were jealous of Adam and his children and his bloodline, and they challenged the Lord to put them into flesh form. And he did. He changed them into forms of humanity. And that's why it was that they were able to also to have sex with the daughters of Cain and to birth an unnatural hybrid bloodline, that of the men of renown or the giants of old, which is referred to and referenced in Genesis chapter 6, where it talks about the sons of God mating with the daughters of man and creating a race of giants, and that there were giants on the earth in those days, and before the flood and after. You can look that up for yourself as well. Now, a little bit about Elias or Elijah. Elias is, when you study about Elias and Elijah, you will find the strange connection of Elias to John the Baptist. And what is interesting about the story of John the Baptist is that it speaks about, within the Word in the Old and the New Testament, that John the Baptist would be incarnated by the spirit of Elias or Elijah. And that would be a form of reincarnation, which is highly unusual. And in my opinion, having studied this, and I do bring this information out in my new book, it is one of the first and most documented case of reincarnation within the Bible, but that it's the only case that I have seen referenced, and that it is very unusual, and it is not the norm for humanity. The norm for humanity, as it said in Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27, the norm for humanity is, and as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this, the judgment. So it's interesting that Elias is connected to John the Baptist, but as the two witnesses, they are to return at the end of days, and that they will be murdered on the streets of Jerusalem, as it speaks about in Revelation, which we'll talk about some of that. But there seems to be some weird connection to Elias and John the Baptist. Now, whether he was the full incarnated, Elijah, or that he was just in the spirit of Elijah, I don't know. All I can tell you is what the texts say and what I have, and I've referenced this story in this next book, but it is definitely not the norms. If it were so to be that John the Baptist was in some way indwelt by the spirit of Elijah or Elias. All I know is that there are other texts which I'm about to go into, because I know that we'll quickly run out of time. But these other texts do reference that the two witnesses of Revelation chapter 11, that they will be Enoch and Elijah. Let me go ahead and see if I can find something here. Which is connected to Revelation chapter 11. Give me 1 second here. Okay, here it is. All right. Yeah, I'm going to read this passage from Revelation chapter 11 here, and then we'll go into these other texts. It says this: "And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth, and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut the heavens, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues, as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these 2 prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet. And great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven, saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000. And the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the God of heaven." Now, it's my opinion that where it says, "And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these 2 prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth," that these will be those that have dedicated their lives to the New World Order, and that it's the same. The line of Cain, the synagogue of Satan, those that say they are Jews but are not, that worship the beast and that wonder after the beast, and that say, who can make war with the beast? It will be them. The globalists, the Luciferians, the Freemasons, those that are part of the secret societies, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, these different world organizations, the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, all these different fraternities and brotherhoods, the Knights of Malta, the Knights of this and that, and the Templars, all these different groups that are committed to the New World Order, that have dedicated themselves, that spit upon the cross of Christ, that mock Yahushuah as Lord and King. They are the ones that are going to be tormented by Enoch and Elijah, and they will celebrate and rejoice at their murder. Now, I'm going to go into those passages which are connected to and that talk about Enoch and Elijah as being the witness of the 2 witnesses of Revelation 11. The first one that I'm going to read from is from the Apocalypse of Daniel, verse 25 and 27. It says this. Then two nations will rise by the name of Gog and Magog. They will shake the ground for several days. Their number is as great as the grains of sand. Then Antichrist will appear, who will deceive many of them. When he is strengthened, he will seduce even the elect. He will kill the two prophets, Enoch and Elias, so that for 3.5 days they will be dead in the public places of the great town of Jerusalem. Then the Ancient of Days will bring them back to life. It is he whom I see coming with the clouds from heaven, similar to a son of man. His power is an eternal power, and his reign will have no end. It is he which will put Antichrist to death, and all the multitude which is with him. There will be misfortune then, in truth, to any soul who live in that time over all the land, because there will be iniquity, a great affliction and groaning, but the salvation of man is between the hands of God in heaven. And so here, and again, that book is called The Apocalypse of Daniel, verse 25 through 27. And so you see, one of the things that you will notice about all of these passages that are connected to Enoch and Elijah as being the two witnesses of Revelation 11 is just like the passage in Revelation, they are connected to the end of days. And they are connected to the last 3.5 years of the Great Tribulation, which are connected to the reign of the Antichrist. And that it cites specifically that it is the Antichrist that puts them to death. All right, the next example is from the Revelation of St. John the Theologian, which, for those that have never heard about or never read this book, I think it's so important and such a profound text to read, and that not many of you have heard about it or read about it, that I included it in its entirety in the last chapter of my 4th book, Lucifer, Father of Cain. I included the entirety of the text, which is about maybe 30 pages, I think. Yeah, but it doesn't take long at all to read it. You can read it in a couple hours in an afternoon. And if you have any questions, post them in the chat room. I'm going to check the chat room here in just a short bit, maybe after I read this passage, because the next passage is a little bit long, but it gives you great detail, again, on the end of days, and gives confirmation of Enoch and Elijah as being the two witnesses of Revelation 11. And the reason I provide 3 examples, because there are more, but I provide 3 examples because in the Word, in Matthew, it says that out of the mouths of 2 or 3 witnesses shall the truth be established. And so you have the story being repeated over and over by the gospel, which in my mind gives confirmation as to the validity of the premise that I'm bringing forth here. Let me just check the chat room real quick, because I know it moves quickly from all the dialogue, and so I don't want to miss your questions if you do post them. All right, I'm gonna I'm going to post a link to this text so that you can read it when you get a chance for yourself. It's a really incredible text. And you can look it up for yourself under the Revelation of St. John the Theologian. It is part of the Ante-Nicene Fathers, part of that collection. All right. For those of you that have access to the chat room, I'm posting a link there now. You can read it for yourself. Very interesting text. But I'm going to go specifically to the passage which is connected to Enoch and Elijah. But I would definitely recommend reading it for yourself if you can. Hello, Yvette. And welcome, God's Instrument. I give a shout out to Blue Girl and Dabu and For Fun and Georgia and Gray Artist, Jasmine, Jennifer, Son of Yahweh, Watcher Ruth. I appreciate all of you and all of the guests, the unnamed and the numbered guests. We appreciate all of you as well. Thanks for joining us for fellowship. I really appreciate all of you being my friends, and thank you for listening to the show and for always supporting my work. All right, going into the text. Again, this is from the Revelation of St. John the Theologian. It says this: "And then I shall send forth Enoch and Elias to convict him, and they shall show him to be a liar and a deceiver. And he shall kill them at the altar, as said the prophet. Then shall they offer calves upon your altar." And again I said, "Lord, and after that, what will come to pass?" And I heard a voice saying to me, "Hear, righteous John. Then all the human race shall die, and there shall not be a living man upon all the earth." And again I said, "Lord, after that, what will you do?" And I heard a voice saying to me, "Hear, righteous John. Then will I send forth mine angels, and they shall take the ram's horn that lies upon the cloud, and Michael and Gabriel shall go forth out of the heaven, and sound with those horns, as the prophet David foretold, with the voice of a trumpet of horn, and the voice of a trumpet shall be heard from the one quarter of the world to the other, and from the voice of that trumpet all the earth shall be shaken, as the prophet foretold. And at the voice of the bird every plant shall arise that is, at the voice of the archangel all the human race shall arise." The Revelation of St. John the Theologian. Now the next passage I'm going to be reading from is a little bit long, but it's very profound in its revelation. And this text is from the Apocalypse of Elijah, I believe. Let me make sure. Yes, this is from the Apocalypse of Elijah, which, give me just a minute, and I'll post a link to this text as well in the chat room. And again, I would recommend to people to read this text in its entirety as well, because it's amazing in its revelation and its connection to the end of days, and it has a great deal of information on the antichrist. Okay, there's the link in the chat room to the Apocalypse of Elijah, so that you can read it for yourself in its entirety. I definitely recommend it to those of you that have the time to do so. All right, let me get to my place. I will be reading from chapter 4, verse 7 through 5. Oh, actually, I'm going to be reading from chapter 4 through 7, verse 5 through 39. I believe is what it is referenced here. All right. It says this. Then, when Elijah and Enoch hear that the Shameless One has revealed himself in the holy place, they will come down and fight with him, saying, "Are you indeed not ashamed when you attach yourself to the saints because you are always estranged? You have been hostile to those who belong to heaven. You have acted against those belonging to the earth. You have been hostile to the thrones. You have acted against the angels. You are always a stranger. You have fallen from heaven like the morning stars. You were changed, and your tribe became dark for you. But you are not ashamed. When you stand firmly against God, you are a devil." The Shameless One will hear, and he will be angry, and he will fight with them in the marketplace of the great city. And he will spend 7 days fighting with them, and they will spend 3½ days in the marketplace dead, while all the people see them. But on the 4th day they will rise up, and they will scold him, saying, "O Shameless One, O son of lawlessness, are you indeed not ashamed of yourself, since you are leading astray the people of God for whom you did not suffer? Do you not know that we live in the Lord? As the words were spoken, they prevailed over him, saying, 'Furthermore, we will lay down before the flesh for the spirit, and we will kill you, since you are unable to speak on that day, because we are always strong in the Lord, but you are always hostile to God.' The Shameless One will hear, and he will be angry, and fight them, and the whole city will surround them. On that day they will show up to heaven as they shine, while all the people in all the world see them. The son of lawlessness will not prevail over them. He will be angry at the land, and he will seek to sin against the people. He will pursue all of the saints. They and the priests of the land will be brought back bound. He will kill them and destroy them, and their eyes will be removed with iron spikes. He will remove their skin from their heads. He will remove their nails one by one. He will command that vinegar and lime be put in their nose. Now those who are unable to bear up under the tortures of that king will take gold and flee over the fords of the desert places. They will lie down as one who sleeps. The Lord will receive their spirits and their souls to himself. Their flesh will petrify, and no wild animals will eat them until the last day of the great judgment. And they will rise up and find a place of rest, but they will not be in the kingdom of Christ as those who have endured, because the Lord said, I will grant to them that they sit on my right hand. They will receive favor over others, and they will triumph over the son of lawlessness. And they will witness the dissolution of heaven and earth. They will receive the thrones of glory and the crowns. The 60 righteous ones who are prepared for this hour will hear, and they will gird on the breastplate of Yahweh, and they will run to Jerusalem and fight with the shameless one, saying, all powers which the prophets have done from the beginning, you have done. But you were unable to raise the dead, because you have no power to give life. Therein we have known that you are the son of lawlessness. He will hear, and he will be angry, and command to kindle altars, and the righteous ones will be bound. They will be lifted up and burned. And on that day, the heart of many will harden, and they will flee from him, saying, this is not the Christ. The Christ does not kill the righteous. He does not pursue men so that he might seek them, but he persuades them with signs and wonders. On that day, the Christ will pity those who are his own, and he will send from heaven his 64,000 angels, each of whom has 6 wings. The sound will move heaven and earth when they give praise and glorify. Now those upon whose forehead the name of Christ is written, and upon whose hand is the seal, both the small and the great, will be taken up upon their wings and lifted up before his wrath. Then Gabriel and Uriel will become a pillar of light, leading them into the Holy Land. It will be granted to them to eat from the tree of life. They will wear white garments, and angels will watch over them. They will not thirst, nor will the son of lawlessness be able to prevail over them. And on that day, the earth will be disturbed, the sun will darken, and peace will be removed from the earth. The birds will fall on the earth dead. The earth will be dry. The waters of the sea will dry up. The sinners will groan upon the earth, saying, what have you done to us, O son of lawlessness, saying, I am the Christ, when you are the devil? You are unable to save yourself, so that you might save us. You produced signs in our presence until you alienated us from the Christ who created us. Woe to us, because we listened to you. Lo, now we will die in a famine, where indeed is now the trace of a righteous one, and we will worship him. Or where indeed is the one who will teach us, and we will appeal to him? Now indeed we will be wrathfully destroyed because we disobeyed Yahuwah. We went to the deep places of the sea, and we did not find water. We dug in the rivers and papyrus reeds. We did not find water. And then on that day, the shameless one, I'm almost done here too. The shameless one will speak, saying, "Woe to me, because my time has passed by for me, while I was saying that my time would not pass by for me. My years became months, my days have passed away as dust passes away. Now, therefore, I will perish together with you. Now, therefore, run forth to the desert, seize the robbers and kill them, bring up the saints, for because of them the earth yields fruit. For because of them the sun shines upon the earth, and for because of them the dew will come upon the earth. The sinners will weep, saying, You made us hostile to Yahuwah. If you are able, rise up and pursue them. Then he will take his fiery wings and fly out after the saints. He will fight with them again. The angels will hear and come down. They will fight with him a battle of many swords. It will come to pass on that day that the Lord will hear and command the heaven and the earth with great wrath. And they will send forth fire. And the fire will prevail over the earth 72 cubits. It will consume the sinners and the devils like stubble. A true judgment will occur. On that day, the mountains and the earth will utter speech. The byways will speak with one another, saying, Have you heard today the voice of a man who walks, who has not come to the judgment of the Son of Yahuwah? The sins of each one will stand against him in the place where they were committed, whether those of the day or of the night. Those who belong to the righteous will see the sinners and those who persecuted them, and those who handed them over to death in their torments. Then the sinners in torment will see the place of the righteous, and thus grace will occur. In those days that which the righteous will ask for many times will be given to them. On that day, Yahuwah will judge the heavens and the earth. He will judge those who transgressed in heaven and those who did so on earth. He will judge the shepherds of the people. He will ask about the flock of sheep, and they will be given to him. Without any deadly guile existing in them. And after these things, Elijah and Enoch will come down. They will lay down the flesh of the world, and they will receive their spiritual flesh. They will pursue the son of lawlessness and kill him, since he is not able to speak. On that day, he will dissolve in their presence like ice, which was dissolved by a fire. He will perish like a serpent which has no breath in it. They will say to him, Your time has passed by for you. Now therefore you want those who believe you will perish. They will be cast into the bottom of the abyss, and it will be closed for them. On that day the Christ, the King, and his saints will come forth from heaven. He will burn the earth. He will spend 1,000 years upon it, because the sinners prevailed over it. He will create a new heaven and a new earth. No deadly devil will exist in them. He will rule with his saints, ascending and descending, while they are always with the angels and they are with the Christ for 1,000 years. The apocalypse of Elijah. In the last part of the show, I want to read just a little bit from Revelation and also the Revelation of St. John the Theologian, because I want to give you a fullness of why it is. It talks about in the scripture that the low places will be brought high and the high places brought low. What most people don't understand is that when it speaks about that and the seas disappearing, it's talking about the world being made flat for the return of the Lord, and that the new heaven and the new earth, that there will truly be, as it speaks about in 2 Peter chapter 3, where it talks about how the world will be destroyed by fire, that the Father and the Son will recreate a new heaven and a new earth in preparation for the Lord coming down, and that evil and the duality of good and evil, that will be eradicated, and that there will be no more evil, there will be no more pain, no more suffering. And so I'm going to read from the Revelation of St. John the Theologian, which speaks about that and gives detail as to how all that will unfold. And I'm going to go back just a little bit so that you'll get the fullness of the story. All right, I'm going to begin with the recreation of the earth. Okay. All right. Revelation of St. John the Theologian. And again I said, Lord, and after that, what will you do? I heard a voice saying to me, Hear, righteous John, then will I send forth mine angels over the face of the earth, and they shall lift off of the earth everything honorable, everything precious, and the venerable and holy images, and the glorious and the precious crosses, and the sacred vessels of the churches, and the divine and the sacred books, and all the precious and holy things shall be lifted up by clouds into the air. And then will I order to be lifted up the great and venerable scepter on which I stretch forth my hands, and all the orders of my angels shall do reverence to it. And then shall be lifted up all the race of men upon clouds, as the Apostle Paul foretold. Along with them we shall be snatched up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And then shall come forth every evil spirit, both in the earth and in the abyss, wherever they are on the face of the earth, from the rising of the sun even to the setting, and they shall be united to him that is served by the devil, that is antichrist, and they shall be lifted up upon the clouds. Just a quick comment here. What I'm about to go into, now this is speaking about the last day and the last trump, pre-wrath, the rapture of the church, before the wrath of God is poured out on to those that are not written into the books of life. And this is also, remember when it speaks about the 4 angels being released from the river Euphrates, and in Joel chapter 2 it speaks about the locust army being released. The giants is in the Cave of Treasures. It talks about the giants being released from the enclosure of the earth, from their being locked away in the interior of the earth. Reading again. And then shall come forth every evil spirit, both in the earth and in the abyss. Remember, inside of the earth and in the abyss, they're going to be loosed upon the earth to decimate and to be part of the wrath of God being poured out on those not written into the books of life. Wherever they are on the face of all the earth, from the rising of the sun even to the setting, and they shall be united to him that is served by the devil, that is antichrist, and they shall all be lifted up upon the clouds. All right, continuing. And again I said, Lord, and after that, what will you do? And I heard a voice saying to me, Hear, righteous John, then shall I send forth mine angels over the face of all the earth, and they shall burn up the earth 8,500 cubits. And the great mountains shall be burnt up, and all the rocks shall be melted, and shall become as dust. And every tree shall be burnt up, and every beast, and every creeping thing upon the earth, everything moving upon the face of the earth, every flying thing flying in the air, and there shall no longer be upon the face of all the earth anything moving, and the earth shall be without motion. And again I said, Lord, and after that, what will you do? And I heard a voice saying to me, Hear, righteous John, then shall I uncover the four parts of the east, and there shall come forth 4 great winds, and they shall sweep all the face of the earth from one end of the earth to the other. And the Lord shall sweep sin from off of the earth, and the earth shall be made white like snow, and it shall become as a leaf of paper, without cave or mountain or hill or rock. But the face of the earth from the rising even to the setting of the sun shall be like a table, and white as snow. And the rains of the earth shall be consumed by fire. And it shall cry unto me, saying, I am a virgin before you, O Lord, and there is no sin in me. As the prophet David said aforetime, You shall sprinkle me with hyssop, and I shall be made pure. You shall wash me, and I shall be made whiter than snow. And again he said, Every chasm shall be filled up, and every mountain and hill brought low. And the crooked places shall be made straight, and the rough ways into smooth, and all flesh shall see the salvation of God. And again I said, Lord, and after that, what will you do? And I heard a voice saying to me, Hear, righteous John, then shall the earth be cleansed from sin, and all the earth shall be filled with a sweet smell, because I am about to come down upon the earth. And then shall come forth the great and venerable scepter with thousands of angels worshiping it. As I said before, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man from the heaven with power and great glory. And then the worker of iniquity with his servants shall behold it, and gnash his teeth exceedingly. And all the unclean spirits shall be turned to flight. And then seized by invisible power, having no means of flight, they shall gnash their teeth against him, saying to him, Where is your power? How have you led us astray? And we have fled away and have fallen away from the glory which we had beside him who is coming to judge us and the whole human race. Woe to us, because he banishes us into outer darkness. A comment here real quick. So you see that in this passage, all the rebel angels and the watchers that were part of the second rebellion that joined Lucifer, Satan, the adversary, that joined him in his rebellion to be as gods themselves, they're stripped of their power of flight, and they are no longer able to flee away and to run away to some other part of the solar system or to a different galaxy or anything like that. Judgment is coming. Just as it said when the demons that met Christ when he came into flesh incarnation, and they recognized who he was, and they said, "Have you come to torment us before the time?" This is the time that they are talking about. Continuing. And again I said, "Lord, and after that, what will you do?" And I heard a voice saying to me, "Then will I send an angel out of heaven. He shall cry with a loud voice, saying, 'Hear, O earth, and be strong, says the Lord, for I am coming down to you.' And the voice of the angel shall be heard from the one end of the world even to the other, and even to the remotest part of the abyss. And then shall be shaken all the power of the angels and of the many-eyed ones. And there shall be a great noise in the heavens, and the 9 regions of the heaven shall be shaken. There shall be fear and astonishment upon the angels. And then the heavens shall be rent from the rising of the sun even to the setting. And an innumerable multitude of angels shall come down to the earth. And then the treasures of the heavens shall be opened, and they shall bring down every precious thing. And the perfume of incense they shall bring down to the earth, Jerusalem robed like a bride. And then there shall go before me myriads of angels and archangels bearing my throne, crying out, 'Holy, holy, holy, Lord of Sabaoth, heaven and earth are full of your glory.' And then will I come forth with power and great glory, and every eye in the clouds shall see me, and then every knee shall bend, of things in heaven and things on earth and things under the earth. And then the heavens shall remain empty, and I will come down upon the earth, and all that is in the air shall be brought down upon the earth, and all the human race, and every evil spirit along with the antichrist, and they shall all be set before me naked and chained by the neck." Remember where it says, "And every knee shall bow, every tongue confess"? This is where we are in the timeline. And again I said, "Lord, what will become of the heavens and the sun and the moon and along with the stars?" I heard a voice saying to me, "Behold, righteous John." And I looked, and I saw a lamb having 7 eyes and 7 horns. And again I heard a voice saying to me, "I will bid the lamb come before me, and will say, 'Who will open this book?' And all the multitudes of the angels will answer, 'Give this book to the lamb to open it.' And then will I order the book to be opened. And when he shall open the first seal, the stars of the heavens shall fall from the one end of it to the other. And when he shall open the second seal, the moon shall be hidden, and there shall be no light in her. And when he shall open the third seal, the light of the sun shall be withheld, and there shall not be light upon the earth. And when he shall open the fourth seal, there shall not be light. The heavens shall be dissolved, and the air shall be thrown into utter confusion, as says the prophet. And the heavens are the works of your hands. They shall perish, but you endure, and they shall all wax old as a garment. And when he shall open the fifth seal, the earth shall be rent, and all the tribunals upon the face of the earth shall be revealed. And when he shall open the sixth seal, the half of the sea shall disappear. And when he shall open the seventh seal, Hades shall be uncovered. And I said, Lord, who will be the first to be questioned and to receive judgment? I heard a voice saying to me, the unclean spirits along with the adversary, I bid them go into outer darkness, where the depths are. And I said, Lord, and in what place does it lie? And I heard a voice saying to me, hear, righteous John, as big as a stone as a man of 30 years old can roll, and let go down into the depth, even falling down for 20 years, will not arrive at the bottom of Hades, as the prophet David said before, and he made darkness his secret place. And I said, Lord, and after them, what nation will be questioned? And I heard a voice saying to me, hear, righteous John, there will be questioned of Adam's race, those nations, both the Greek and those who have believed in idols, and in the sun, and in the stars, and those who have defiled the faith by heresy, and who have not believed in the holy resurrection, and who have not confessed the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. And then will I send them away into Hades, as the prophet David foretold. Let the sinners be turned into Hades, and all the nations that forget God. And again he said, they were put in Hades like sheep. Death shall be their shepherd. And again I said, Lord, after them, who will you judge? And I heard a voice saying to me, hear, righteous John, then the race of the Hebrews shall be examined, who nailed me to the tree like a malefactor. And I said, and what punishment will these get, and in what place, seeing that they did such things to you? And I heard a voice saying to me, they shall go away into Tartarus, as the prophet David foretold. They cried out, and there was none to save, to the Lord, and he did not hearken to them. And again the Apostle Paul said, as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law, and as many as have sinned in law shall be judged by means of law. And again I said, Lord, and what of those who have received baptism? And I heard a voice saying to me, then the race of the Christians shall be examined, who have received baptism. And then the righteous shall come at my command, and the angels shall go and collect them from among the sinners, as the prophet David foretold. The Lord will not suffer the rod of the sinners and the lot of the righteous, and all the righteous shall be placed on my right hand, and shall shine like the sun. As you see, John, the stars of heaven, that they were all made together but differ in light, so shall it be with the righteous and the sinners. For the righteous shall shine as lights and as the sun, but the sinners shall stand in darkness. And again I said, Lord, and do all the Christians go into one punishment? Kings, high priests, patriarchs, rich and poor, bond and free? And I heard a voice saying to me, hear, righteous John, as the prophet David foretold, the expectation of the poor shall not perish forever, Now about the kings. They shall be driven like slaves, and they shall weep like infants. And about patriarchs and priests and Levites, of those that have sinned, they shall be separated in their punishment, according to the nature of their peculiar transgression of each. Some in the river of fire, some to the worm that dies not, and others in the seven-mouthed pit of punishment. To these punishments the sinners will be apportioned. I'm almost done. I know we're running out of time. And again I said, Lord, and where will the righteous dwell? I heard a voice saying to me, then shall paradise be revealed, and the whole world and paradise shall be made one, and the righteous shall be on the face of all the earth with my angels, as the Holy Spirit foretold through the prophet David. The righteous shall inherit the earth and dwell therein forever and ever. And again I said, Lord, how great is the multitude of the angels, and which is the greater, that of the angels or of men? And I heard a voice saying to me, as great as is the multitude of the angels, so great is the race of men. As the prophet has said, he set bounds to the nations according to the number of the angels of God. And again I said, Lord, and after that, what will you do? And what is to become of the world? Reveal to me all. And I heard a voice saying to me, hear, righteous John, after that there is no pain, there is no grief, there is no groaning, there is no recollection of evils, there are no tears, there is no envy, there is no hatred of brethren, there is no unrighteousness, there is no arrogance, there is no slander, there is no bitterness, there are none of the cares of life. There is no pain from parents or children, there is no pain from gold, there are no wicked thoughts, there is no devil, there is no death, there is no night, but all is day. And as I said before, and other sheep I have which are not of this fold, that is, men who have been made like the angels through their excellent course of life, them also must I bring, and they will hear my voice, and there shall be of one fold one shepherd. And again I heard a voice saying to me, behold, you have heard all these things, righteous John. Deliver them to the faithful men, that they also may teach others, and not think lightly of them, nor cast our pearls before swine, lest perchance they shall trample them with their feet. And while I was still hearing this voice, the cloud brought me down and put me on Mount Tabor. And there came a voice to me saying, blessed are those who keep judgment and do righteousness in all time. And blessed is the house where this description lies. As the Lord said, he that loves me keeps my saying, in Christ Jesus our Lord. To him be glory forever. Amen. And with that, I want to thank all of you for joining me, and I hope that this show touched you profoundly and that you have a clear picture of all the things that have been revealed and that have been locked within the Word, that have been veiled until this time. Because now is the time for all things to be revealed, and we are to know and have all things come to light. In Yahushuah, Yahweh's name I pray. God bless all. Good night.